All right. Hi, everyone. First of all, I want to thank Odile for joining me today. It's really nice to see you. It's been a while. Last time we saw each other was the Olympics, I believe.
Yeah,
So I don't
good
know,
to
was
see you
that like
too.
7 months ago?
Yeah,
Um,
time is flying.
yeah, it kind of feels like yesterday that the Olympics happened, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You've so much has happened since we saw each other. What have you been up to lately? What happened after the Olympics? Where did you go? Did you take some time off or have you been training again? What's been happening?
So after Olympics, it was pretty straight on into the America's Cup for us, which was really exciting because I spent a couple of days in bed after the Olympics and I already started having a life crisis thinking, oh no, now that this is over, what's next? Luckily, I had a next project to get into and, yeah, did the America's Cup, sailed in FX a couple of times also. So that was fun, just at home in Scheveningen. And I got pregnant. So that's a really big change in my life and some things that been taking a lot of my energy lately.
Yeah, that is huge news. Congratulations, actually, because
Thank
of
you.
that. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to call with you. And I said, I have so many questions for her because last year was a huge year for you. You not only won the gold medal in the 49er FX in Paris with a net, you became world champion that year in Lanzarote at the beginning of the year. You got engaged with Bart, himself a three-time world champion, and you announce your pregnancy at the end of the year. So I was like, whoa, this is an insane year.
Yeah.
And I have so many questions for you, and I'm sure other people do as well. So that's why I thought let's do it live, and other people will have questions
Yeah.
maybe as well.
Cool.
Um, and I saw this picture of you and Bart. It's so cute, the one underwater where you announced your pregnancy. And I
Oh,
want
yeah.
to just go straight into that. Was that planned, the photo? Were you thinking of ways, okay, how are we going to announce this to the public? Or did the photo just kind of happen? Someone took a photo of you and you were like, this is a good way to announce it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we spent, after America's Cup, we spent 5 weeks in Curacao, which is the island where I'm from. So that really felt like a big reset. And we just spent a lot of time relaxing and winning, being out on the water. And then one day we went snorkeling and we're taking fun pictures underwater. And we already obviously knew that I was pregnant. So we just took a picture with Bart also holding my belly, which was funny at the time because I didn't have a belly yet, or at least not one from the baby. And then later, yeah, people do these perfect announcements, but we just sort of thought this is us and just want to get the news out into the world.
I thought it was perfect. It was so original. It was so much you guys. It was really, really awesome. How was your time in Curacao? Did you manage to wind down a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. It took a time because right after the Olympics, I was still very wired. Like if you would have asked me after Olympics, get back into an ethics now, I would have been like, yeah, let's go. I just couldn't get enough of it. And then going straight into the America's Cup, you get a lot of hype, a lot of energy again. So it didn't really feel like we had, yeah, evaluated or closed the Olympics chapter up until the America's Cup was finished. And then still there's a lot of media attention, people asking you how it was. So it was really good to get away, stay off the phone for a little bit and, yeah, relax.
Stay disconnected from the world a bit. It's always
Exactly.
good for anyone. Cool. So I guess I have a bunch of questions for you, divided into topics. So let's just jump right into it. And if anybody has extra questions, we can address them at the end of this call. I hope you can find the chat. You can either, if you're watching on YouTube, you can write comments on YouTube, on Facebook as well, and Instagram, and they all come to my screen. Technically, we're trying out a new system. Hopefully I get all the questions. And so the first topic that I would like to chat with you about is about basic sailing and career in the Olympics and a bit the America's Cup and how women in sailing is like evolving, let's say. Because
Yeah.
you were in the first Women's America's Cup also last year, which I forgot to mention, which is also a huge achievement. So congratulations on that. I know it didn't go as well as you wanted to, but hopefully you'll have more opportunities in the future. So first question I have for you was, how did it feel to win the gold medal at the Olympics, and how did that feeling compare to other events and other titles that you've won?
Yeah, it was a super big feeling. I think it wasn't just happiness. It was also a lot of other emotions. Something, yeah, for me personally, I've been working towards for so long. I'm the youngest of four, so I started sailing when I was four already. And my dad had gone to Olympics. It had always been sort of like a real dream for me, something that I could see happening. And then when I won silver at the Youth Olympics in Nanjing in 2014, I was pretty bummed. I was pretty upset with that. I know that back then I sort of made this promise to myself, like, I don't want this to happen to me again. So I'm going to do everything I can to get to those Olympics and then see how far I can get. And yeah, it's really big. A lot of relief also after we had a really good few years, Annette and I, and it wasn't just happiness, a lot of happiness, but also a lot of relief that we put so much effort in and it paid off.
Yeah. Were you really confident that you were capable of, because everybody knew you were one of the favorites to get a medal, but you and Annette, did you feel confident, like, yeah, we got this, we're going to get a medal? Or was there always doubt, especially during the competition?
I don't think we didn't really say out loud, like, we've got this or something, but we did just like maybe just once in the whole campaigns, we said to each other, like, we are going for gold. And then we're like, yeah, we're going to go for gold. And we knew that we had a lot of strong points. We were always strong in heavy breeze, and we'd recently gotten a lot better in light breeze as well. And the racing part we really love. That's the part we're best at, actually. So we knew we had all these things, but you never know how it's going to work out because it's the Olympics, it's sailing, you've got nature to deal with. There's a lot of other teams. It's not just one opponent. So you never really know for sure. But we did have this trust, which really helps actually when racing, to have this trust in yourself and in your team.
Yeah. Well, it was definitely wow. Like until the last moment, we didn't really know who was going to win. It was just an epic Olympics. Was there a moment that you think was really challenging during the Olympics? And if there was a moment like that, how did you overcome it?
I think the final day of fleet racing was really hard for us. It was the fourth day, and it was quite windy, but also super shifty. So not stable day. And we were in a really good position, and we knew sort of that if we would have a really good day, we could potentially already finish it, win the gold medal before the medal race. I think that kind of played into our heads a bit. We ended up making choices on the water, which we normally wouldn't, because we thought, okay, we just have to play it safe, And because of that, sort of stopped daring to make decisions because we were afraid to make a mistake. And that was really hard to deal with. And we ended that day feeling a little upset, but also a bit angry with ourselves. Like, that's not how we want to race. But I think it was really good that we voiced it out and we both sort of had this feeling. And in the end, it ended up giving us even more power for the medal race. So we sort of had this attitude like, this is not going to happen again. And we had such a bad last day, and we want to show that we can do better, and we know we can do better. So it actually brought a lot of fire for that medal race, which helped us.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Was there a behind the scenes moment that people didn't really see? Because you weren't on your phone really, so not everything was public. Is there anything that happened behind the scenes something that you'll never forget?
There's a lot of joy at the Olympics, actually, which I was quite surprised with. I thought it would just be all tough competition and that being just the races would take every ounce of my energy. But we had a lot of fun too with the girls from the FX in the boat park, a lot of fun people. So that was really, really pleasant. And then it's also really special because your family and all your friends have also been working with you towards this mountain for so long. And then there's this regatta where they finally get to be there and there's live broadcast so they get to see you. And that was really special. And then also we shared accommodation with the boys, with Floris and Bart. And yeah, it was just everything, the Olympics. It wasn't just the racing, but the whole experience was, it was super cool. And I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah, you just mentioned that you were living with Bart and Floris during the Olympics. And that, I mean, it must have been really nice for you because it felt like home and, you're with the people that you love. But also Bart was competing himself and it didn't go maybe as well as he wanted to. I know, it was quite sad for them as well at times. So how did you manage that? Because on one side, you need to be focused and you're happy for what your results are. But at the same time, the person that you love is not performing as well as they wanted to. And your photo, I don't know if it's on Instagram or on WhatsApp, but it's so cute. It's of you hugging him. And I can't remember which moment that was, if it's when they didn't quite make it into the medal race or if it was afterwards. Yeah. How did you handle that situation?
Yeah. So luckily it's a situation we've dealt with before. We've been together for 7 years now. So throughout our whole 49er careers, and it might not look like it, but there's been a lot of moments where either one of us or both of us were having a tough time sailing. So we've definitely learned what the other person needs and how we can help and be there for the other person. And it's extra hard when you have this high pressure event like a world championships or an Olympics where you both want to compete really well. But I think what maybe a lot of people forget is that you also get a lot of love from a relationship and stability, which actually allows you to be a better athlete. So yeah, I felt a lot of love from Bart, even though he wasn't having a great week, and I tried to give him all of my love. I think it's nice to know that even if you have a bad day at work or on the water, that there's still a lot of love to come back to. So, yeah,
It makes
I
the
like
hard
to think.
days a bit less hard, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it wasn't always easy. And of course, if you cry, it takes some energy of you. But yeah, it gives a lot to be able to be there. And I think that Flores, Annette, and Bart and I really have created a bond that week that we'll never forget.
Awesome. My next question is more regarding motherhood and your pregnancy. How long have you been sailing now? How many years would you say?
For, yeah, 22 years.
22 years. Oh my gosh. And you're 20, 26?
Yeah, I just
27?
turned 27.
Oh yeah, right. Happy birthday.
Thank
It was
you.
just a few days ago. So in these 22 years, that's basically all you've known as being an athlete. Do you think there's some aspects of being an athlete that you can bring towards motherhood that will help you be a great mom? And what are those things, do you think?
Well, I have to start with I might have some ideas now, but I have no clue what's going to happen. So I feel quite naive going into this. I do think that campaigning, there's so many aspects, and it's always a part where you can control some, but then there's a lot of aspects that you can't control, and especially in sailing where we deal with nature. So I think there'll be a lot of that when you're a parent with kids doing unexpected things or situations going differently than you had planned. We have learned to deal a little bit with that. So I hope that helps me. And also, I guess the communicating part, that you have to communicate so well when you work in a team. And Bart and I are already a team, but we're going to have to form a whole new team when we become parents. So yeah, hopefully we can take that forward.
That's true. I never thought about it like that, but you are creating a team. You're creating your own family. So that's true. That's a very good point. About the America's Cup, can you tell us a bit about how that experience was? I know you had some quite emotional interviews at the end of it. Some video that went viral, which I thought was amazing. I was like, yes, girl.
Yeah.
How was the whole experience? You know, would you like to do it again? Do you think it's a one-time thing, or do you think they're going to keep doing it with the women?
It was super cool. Like I said, the Olympics has been something that I've always had in my mind because it was always a possibility. And the America's Cup, I didn't know that it was a possibility. I think it's really cool that we get to show girls who are now sailing optimists, like, look, this is where you can go. Because it was super cool to get these really expensive boats, which normally only men get the opportunity to steer or be the boss of or be in control of. And we got the opportunity to sail on them, be the bosses together. And it worked really well. We sailed really well. So that was a super empowering feeling. And it was super empowering to be there with all these women who wanted to be there and who realized how special it was that we got the chance to be there. I found out I was pregnant right before, so it was extra special for me because I felt super in touch with this feminine energy, and it was cool showing that even if you're super feminine or really a girl, you can do this. And apart from that, the boats were super, super fun. We had so much fun learning a new skill and going that fast. So I hope it's not the end, but I also don't think it's the end because we did show, I think all the teams showed that with very little preparation, we can already go really fast. So if we get 100 more hours on the water, let's see what we can do then.
And do you think this is just the beginning for women's sailing evolution, let's say, or there still needs to be a lot to go? Or do you think we've reached kind of a peak, like, okay, women have their own sailing boat now in the America's Cup? Or do you think there should get to a point where women are in the real America's Cup, sailing with the men?
Yeah, I think it's all up to whether we're good enough. I think I'm always excited to sail at the highest level, and I think it's really cool that when you're an optimist, then there's no really physical advantages yet. that you see girls and boys racing against each other and girls becoming world champion. And it's quite obvious after that is that you get classes which go apart, because I'm realizing that, especially now that I'm pregnant, female bodies are different than male bodies. So I'm happy that we have our own class in the 49er FX, because I can't go against the 85 kilo boy. I wouldn't want to. But in these boats, which you don't have this physical advantage or difference, there's a lot possible. But it's at the moment, the guys are 30 years or something ahead of us with these foilie boats. So I don't think it's like a overnight change where suddenly we're going to be just as good. But
So
I
you
think
think,
it's,
do you think
I think
women
it's
then
good.
need more? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we need more time. I
Yeah.
think it's an investment. It's an investment because right now we maybe aren't as good yet. Also, maybe with the tactical, strategical things. But I don't think it's because we don't have that skill, because we show in Olympic sailing that we do have that skill. But if you've never made a strategical decision while going 100 kilometers per hour, it makes sense that someone who has done that 100 times is going to make a better decision. So I think it's all about investment and time. And I think more and more people in the world are seeing that girls can do a great job at things. Let's hope we can keep it forward. Right now, I don't have my focus there, but I'd love to be a part of that in the future.
Awesome. Let's hope so. I love to see it. I really do. I don't know. I've been seeing some statistics on like who watches our stuff on Instagram, on YouTube. The numbers are shocking. It's mostly men. 90% on YouTube of our followers are men. On Instagram, it's like 75%. So something needs to change. We need to talk about women more. We need to just improve everything. And I know from our chats that we've had at dinner sometimes that you're a bit of a feminist. So you were the perfect person to bring this forward. Okay, on to another topic, which I think is really important that I've been noticing as well a lot post-Olympics in athletes is mental health and mindset as an athlete. You always seem so positive and so joyful. I'm sure you will have your ups and downs as well. But overall, I think you're always quite a balanced person and you manage to find your happy moments and all that. So I think people who listen, who maybe are struggling also in other aspects, whether they're athletes or just a bad moment in their lives, how did you decompress after the Olympics? What are some things that helped you? Well, you went straight to the America's Cup, so you didn't decompress then. But I guess after the America's Cup, when everything sunk in, what did you do afterwards to take care of yourself and take care of your emotional state and all that?
Yeah, I think the first thing I'd say, I found it really hard. Like I said, the first few days I had off after Olympics, I felt super lost, because you've had this big goal that you've been working towards, and it's sort of an anchor in your life. Even though there's lots of other things next to sailing, it is the biggest thing. And that falls away just for a little bit, even if you do decide to continue. That wasn't easy at all. So that was really hard. And I think what helped a little bit is that we did have this America's Cup, which was not as high of a goal, but a little bit of a goal to work towards. And I guess also just giving myself the grace and the time to have those feelings and let it feel bad. And I think biggest thing, also talk about it, because when you get into your own mind, you can make from a fly an elephant, we say in Dutch. You can just keep going and going. And then when you talk to people, they can sort of sometimes help to rationalize your feelings, but also just give yourself the time and let those feelings be there, because not weird if you have a tough time in your life. It happens to everyone.
I just got a very lovely comment from Lucas. Odile, I admire you and I love to listen to you. That's so sweet.
Oh, thanks, Lucas.
Do you have like specific practices or things that you do to help you stay positive and keep a positive mindset, whether it was after the Olympics or when you're having a tough time competing or training? Do you have certain things that you do that might not work for everyone, but...
So I think the first biggest thing I already said is talk. So also when we're in our campaign, I think I'm a super open book, maybe sometimes too open, but it does really help to talk, because to get out of your own head. So that's the biggest thing. And then a thing that some people have made fun of us is that when we have interviews and people would say, like, what's your biggest goal, or what are you working on? And we would say to have fun. And it sounds silly when you're a professional athlete and everything should be cool and tough and precise and detail oriented. but it was a really big part of our campaign. And we would actually debrief like, did we have fun this training camp? And then if one of us would say, no, I didn't have so much fun, we would actually debrief, okay, why not? And how can we make sure that next camp is fun? And that's with the idea that if people feel better in their skin and in their environment, we're actually going to learn a lot faster than if there's no fun. And that also means sometimes skipping a physical session or having to laugh on the water when something went wrong instead of right away analyzing why that happened. Yeah, so it sounds hard to do, but to actually put having fun as one of your lists next to having good starts, having good speed, it really helps for us to keep that balance in life.
I think it's important what you just said. Like, I'm not a sailor, I'm not an athlete. So I always had like an outsider perspective. And for an outsider, with a person with a normal job,
Yeah.
sometimes you'd see these athletes and be like, wow, what a good life they have. You know, like they're hiking mountains, they're on the water, they're surfing, they're wing foiling, whatever. But actually, I think that is so much part of your training in a sense, because you're also keeping your mindset positive, loving what you do, appreciating your
Yeah.
job, because at the end of the day, it is a job and it's a really tough job and it's exhausting and it's not just physical. So,
No,
yeah, all those
definitely.
things that you just said, having fun, you have to find the time to have fun, because what's the purpose of doing it if you're not enjoying it?
Yeah, and I think especially if you're working in a team, energy is so important, and you just notice as soon as someone in the team is feeling a bit off, everything you're doing stops working. So I think especially in a team, finding ways to bond and find things you both like to do, it really helps being friends off the water to perform a lot better on the water.
Completely agree. Have you had times when you doubted your abilities? Like, you've always been a really good athlete, but maybe you haven't performed as well as you wanted to. Were there moments when
Yes.
you were very low, and how did you get past those moments?
Yeah, I think I've had two big moments. I think the first big moment was when I switched from junior sailing to senior sailing. So I went from sailing the laser, the bite, and the 29er into the 49er FX. And I think I only did about 3 events, but I think I finished last or second to last in all of those events. And that was really hard for me. Sort of shocked coming from winning regattas to being last. And that definitely made me doubt myself and think, oh, maybe I'm not as talented as I thought. And then the second big moment was when Marike and I lost the trials for Tokyo Games. It was a super close trials, and we ended up missing it by 1 point, while also having a really bad week and not really sailing to the level that we wanted to. And yeah, so that was definitely hard. And I think no matter how much confidence you have, that's going to hurt. And I think what helped for me, I don't know if this is the answer people are looking for, but what helped for me both times is to take a step away, to actually not keep pushing, but to actually, yeah, let that hurt. And both times I took a little break off sailing for a couple months and did other things, and only started back up again when I really wanted to sail for the joy of it again, and not for wanting to prove after those bad races that I could do it, but only start sailing again when I felt like, oh, I miss sailing. I want to be in a boat. I want to go on the water, surf some waves. And then to start again from actually wanting to sail and not wanting to perform or to prove anything, I think that really helped with, in the end, managing to keep sailing. Because otherwise, yeah, I think you'll get burnt out quicker if you do it after a loss or after a tough moment, if you do
So
it for
you
other reasons.
so you think the times that you've performed best was when you were having fun and you were just doing it for yourself, not for anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination. I can't say at the Olympics I was just sailing for fun. I was also sailing because I really wanted to win. That was a big part of it. But I think you can have a lot of different aspects why you sail, but fun definitely needs to be a part of it, and being happy. And fun also means enjoying sailing. And yeah, I love sailing. I love the feeling of making the boat go fast, tiny movements you make, and yeah.
Um, how important do you think mental health is in elite sports? And do you think it gets enough attention?
I can't speak on if it gets enough attention as a whole. I think every athlete and every organization is very different. I think we made it a big part in our campaign, made it a priority that we said we want. We were sort of with the three of us, with Guy, Annette, and me, that we said if one of us feels some type of way, we want them to be able to speak up. And that can sometimes be hard when you're performing at a high level, and maybe sometimes there's not room or time because you only have 5 minutes in between a race. But the times that I think we made a lot of space for it, and every time we did make space for it, after that we ended up making a big jump in our level again. So I would just encourage everyone to talk about it, because you're only as strong as your minds are. Even if you have all these technical capabilities on the water, if your mind's not at the right place, you're not going to perform. I think it's a huge part for elite athletes, and the bigger part it is and the more attention there is for it, the better, I think.
Completely agree with you on that point. Let's shift to something a bit lighter. Family and pregnancy.
Yeah.
You found out that you were pregnant during the America's Cup, so October, right?
Yeah,
that
September.
September, October. Has your mindset changed on how you're going to approach competitions and how you should approach competitions since you became a mother or pregnant?
Yeah.
It's crazy to say that.
It's crazy indeed. Like I said, I don't really have a clue yet. I do know that I found it quite scary after we finished the America's Cup, because I was like, oh, I really like sailing, and it's just a little bit different for women than for men. You know, you see some guys, really good, talented guys, nothing bad, but you see them taking one weekend off CLGP when their child is being born, and then they're back next weekend. That's just not how it works for us girls. So it definitely felt scary crossing that finish line and thinking, oh, when am I gonna cross the finish line again? Because I love sailing and I don't want this to be the end. I don't know yet how I want to approach it, but I do know that after the Olympics, I felt I'm definitely not done with sailing, because I love it so much, and why would I want any other job in the world? So I think we're just gonna have to make it work. And luckily, Bart has the same mindset. For a little bit naive, positive people, and we'll think it'll work out, but we'll need a lot of help from the people around us, parents, friends. If anyone's listening wants to be a nanny week at a training camp, you can sign up. And maybe some more training camps at home. And we'll need to have really good partners in the boat and the coaches who understand the situation.
Yeah, it's super exciting. What are you excited most about becoming a mother?
Yeah, becoming a family. Chris and I have been together for 7 years, and we were 19 when we got together, and we already said in the first year that we wanted to be young parents. You kind of, in the Olympics, you sort of at one point have to make a decision, because it's a 4-year cycle. So we knew that if we don't make the decision now, then it'll be next one or after that. And especially with infertility rising so much worldwide right now, we didn't want to take that shot. So we ended up making the decision. And actually, so we also want to make time for it during the next campaign. It's not that the baby is a nuisance or in the way for our sailing, because this is something we chose. So it's something we also really want to make time for. But I really hope that we can just be a little family of 3 traveling the world together, and showing our kid how fun life can be.
Awesome. Is Bart you're obviously gonna take time off sailing. And as you said before, men can normally go after a weekend.
Yeah.
Baby's born, back to sailing. Is Bart gonna stay home with you and kind of help you? Or is he going to keep training? Have you talked about this yet?
So we're both quite a lot at home now. We are renovating the house that we live in, and we're trying to find a bigger place, because our current place is not big enough for an addition. And like I said, he's taking some time off after Olympics to, when he wants to get back in it, really get back in it. But so I'll do some sailing, but I don't think too much for nano sailing. And I have to say, it's really nice to have a partner who is there for you, because pregnancy is pretty hard too.
Oh yeah. How have you been? Do you get the morning sickness?
No, good. But the first trimester was hard. I think being an athlete, I sort of thought like, I always have a lot of energy and I'm super fit, so I'll cruise through it. But there were so many hormones going on. I was just constantly tired, and have a lot of extra respect for all the women who go through this, so we can have happy families in the world.
Speaking about that, are there any women in sailing who already have kids who manage to balance their sailing career and motherhood? Anyone you look up to in particular?
I think it's great that all the women did that. I'm grateful for Marit, because she did it in the Netherlands, which means that our federation didn't look so weird when I told them the news, and that my strength and conditioners trainer already knows exactly what I need to do to go safely through pregnancy while staying fit. So that's really nice. And I have to say that it also gave me a lot of trust standing next to Sarah and Charlene on the podium, them both being moms and still being athletes at the same time. Yeah, it's super cool to see. And I think everyone's journey is going to be their own journey. But the more women that we see either being an athlete or going to jobs, it's better. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Arlene, really, they're the perfect example, the mama team. They really
Yeah.
proved to everyone that you can do it. How did you break the news to Annette and how did she react? What is she going to do without you for a while?
Well, I'm not too worried about what she's going to do because she's currently in New Zealand bikepacking with her boyfriend. So
Bikepacking.
Bikepacking. So
Cool.
she's biking all the way from the North Island and then the north of the North Island all the way to the South Tip, which is about
Wow.
a 2-month bike trip. So she's having a lot of fun without me. But yeah, I took her with me in the whole process. She always knew that it was something that I wanted, and I hadn't quite decided on before the Olympics. Well, Bart and I hadn't decided yet, but she was there with me while I was taking the tests, and yeah, she was really happy for me. She's gonna be a really good auntie, I think.
Wow. Was she the first person who knew?
Bart and I took the test together.
Bart was there. Okay.
And Bart was there, but she was pretty
She was
high
also
up in
there.
the list.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, next I have just a few quick fire questions. Oops. My mom called me. One sec. Okay. What is your go-to meal after a long day of training?
I wish it was something like burritos or tacos, but realistically, it's a protein shake or pasta.
Pasta. I'm Italian. I have to vote pasta. What's one thing about you that most people don't know?
I think one thing that people didn't know about me was this big wish for motherhood. I already had it when I was like 12, but never really talked about it because I'm so much Odile the sailor. But it's really something I'm excited for, and yeah, big part of my life goals.
I absolutely had no idea. So yeah, no, I don't think other people know. Other question just came to my mind. Do you speak Papiamento?
Untiki.
Untiki.
A little.
For people
yeah.
who don't know, that's the local language in Curacao and Aruba and Bonaire. If you could sail anywhere in the world without competition, where would it be?
I think it'd be really fun to sail the 49er in Curacao. I've only ever really sailed Optimist in Curacao. It's a little island for people who don't know. It's a little island right above Venezuela. It's where I was born and where I grew up. It always has wind from the same direction and it's always windy and it has a lot of swell going all different ways. So I think it'd be really challenging in a 49er and super fun.
How would your teammate describe your personality, do you think?
I think chaotic and passionate.
What's your favorite memory from early days in sailing?
The friends, definitely. I like some of my best friends are people who I started sailing with when I was 5, and we see each other every week. And some of us have different lives now. Some of us are still sailing. Yeah, it's so cool to have this special sport and to share it with people.
What's been the best piece of advice that you've received in your career and that you would like to pass on?
Well, it's not from my coach. A guy is amazing and has said like 1,000 really good things. So probably there's a lot of them in there too, but actually Thomas, the coach of the Norwegian, he sometimes he would see me and it would be a windy day and I'd be a bit scary. And he would just say, Odile, you've got this. And it sort of was like anything they're going to throw at you, anything that's happened, you've got this. And it's a really nice phrase to sort of rephrase to yourself, like, I've got this. Yeah, so that was a really nice piece of advice.
That's a great one. A few more questions just about the future and to know a bit where your mind is. Do you have specific goals for the next Olympics? Do you think there is going to be a next Olympics? It sounds like yes.
Yeah, I'd really like to keep sailing. So LA is definitely part of the plans. We'll have to see how to get there and keep having fun, keep learning. Gonna maybe feel a little bit different after winning a gold medal. I don't know that yet. This last campaign, I don't think there's been one day where I thought, I don't really feel like being underwater. But apart from that, I wanted to go sailing every day. So I hope that stays the same, but we're gonna have to see. And probably a lot of new challenges are gonna come my way too.
Yeah, you basically achieved everything, almost everything that a sailor would want. You know, I don't know how much more you can top that up. So how do you stay motivated to do more?
America's Cup, SILGP. I can think of a few
Would you want to do SILGP as well?
Yeah, for sure. Yes, please.
If anyone's listening, sign her up. Do you think about coaching or mentoring kids in the future since you love kids so much?
Yeah, To be honest, at the moment, not yet, because I really feel like I'm still enjoying sailing myself. And if I would be in a coach boat, I would just be annoyed that I'm not sailing myself. But I could definitely see in the future that I want to do that. And already now there's a lot of young FX girls, and I just love to see them sail. And I think, oh, I want to give them all everything I know. So we have a lot of talks. Yeah, just trying to boost the next generation. Yeah.
And if your kid wanted to follow in your footsteps and Bart footsteps, what advice would you give him or her? Ooh,
Oh,
him or
I
her?
think him or her. Yeah,
I
so
think it's
I
a
think
him.
not give, I'm not going to comment, but I think not interfere too much. I think the worst thing you can do is like as a parent, stand there on the shore and scream to your kid what they're supposed to do. Like, I think, come on, let the kid figure it out themselves. So that's going to be hard probably for us since we know the sport so well. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of great ways to live your life, and this is one of them. So if they like sailing, yeah, we'll support them. But also if they choose any other life journey.
Awesome. Well, thank you so, so much for joining me today. I know you've been really busy with looking for a new house and all that, so I really appreciate it. Oh, hello, cutie. And thanks for your +1 also for joining. And
Yeah.
yeah, thanks again. I hope you have a lovely year, and I wish you all the best to you, to Bart, and to your growing family.
Thank you, Alexia. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks everyone for watching. I don't see any questions, really. Just, no, I don't think so. Anyway, okay. Thanks again.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.